Hello sports fans, I'm Andrea Szabo reporting to you from rosterdoc.com, and here are my picks for Week 10. In the Thursday night game this week, I like the red-hot Andrew Luck to stomp on Jacksonville. Good week to start Vic Ballard as the Jags gave up 4 touchdowns to running backs last week. Dwayne Allen is also a good option at tight end. He has 10 receptions over the last 2 weeks since Kobe Fleener went down. Oakland Raiders travel to Baltimore, and both Darren McFadden and Mike Goodson are doubtful to play. Marcel Reese is a hot waiver ad this week. Look for the Ravens to win this big. Denver rolls along to Carolina, where Peyton Manning has a 5-game streak, tossing 3 touchdowns in each game. Count on the trend continuing as the Broncos should win. Big game for Willis McGahee and the Denver wide receivers. The Giants are in a slump on offense and travel to Cincinnati, who desperately needs a win. The G-men are banged up and have a bye week next week, so I like the Bengals to capitalize as A.J. Green has a monster game leading the Bengals to a win. Tennessee visits Miami, where the Dolphins could easily be 7-1, but they keep losing all these close games. Jake Locker is back, but the Finns are tough at home, and they will take care of business. Fantasy alert for Brian Hartline. Get him on your lineup. The revived Detroit Lions visit the downtrodden Minnesota Vikings, where Percy Harvin is doubtful to suit up. This is at a huge advantage to the Lions. Stratford and Calvin Johnson will hook up their first and second touchdowns of the year as Detroit wins. The Bills play the Patriots off their bye in a game that should have a final score very similar to the game they played a few weeks ago. Look for the Patriots to score a lot and the Bills to pad their fantasy numbers playing catch-up. In one of the best games of the week, the 8-0 Falcons play the suddenly alive New Orleans Saints. We know the Saints can score, but it's their defense that must come up big. Play all of your regulars on both teams here. It should be a close game, but I like the Falcons 31-28. San Diego travels across the country to visit their old pal, Vincent Jackson, and the Tampa Bay Bucks. Doug Martin is a fantasy number 1 running back. He's ridiculous, behind 2 huge weeks in a row. I like Tampa to win the game, and I'd bench Ryan Matthews as Tampa has the league's best run defense. If you're desperate for a wide receiver, Denario Alexander is worth a look. The Jets come off their bye week and fly to Seattle, where visitors go to lose. Marshawn Lynch and the Hawks win by 10. The Disappointment Bowl sits in Philadelphia, where the Eagles host the Cowboys. Both teams at 3-5. The loser can start planning for next year, while the winner may just be a game back from the Giants. The Eagles have a piecemeal offensive line, Vic has no time to throw, and their D's a mess. Count on 10 sacks for Dallas and a Cowboy victory. Rams versus Niners in San Francisco. Niners. Big. Enough said. Keep an eye on the return of slot machine Danny Amendola. Game of the year possibly on Sunday Night Football has Houston visiting Chicago. You have to play all your regulars, but this should be a hard-fought game down to the end. I trust Matt Schaub more than sometimes erratic Jay Cutler, so I like the Texans to win by a field goal. Monday Night Football is a snooze fest that will see Pittsburgh squash Kansas City. That'll do it for Week 10. This is Andrea Szabo saying enjoy the games, and I'll see you next week.